Hi, my name is Brendan Bartik with Brendan Bartik Real Estate Coaching, where our mission is to train the most elite real estate agents and coaches on earth. Today I'm going to be taking you through part 2 of our 3-part series, how to find, list, and sell 100 plus homes each and every year. So today in part 2 we're going to be talking about how to list 100 plus homes. And to list 100 plus homes, it really all comes down to your systems. You got to have a lot of systems in place to be able to list 100 plus homes a year. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk to you about probably one of the most important pieces, which is exactly what to do on the listing appointment, how to secure the signatures, all of that great stuff. But the first step is, number one, we got to think about how the lead comes in. So the first part in how to list is the pre-qualification process. So we use a pre-listing lead form that I have available. If you'd like to, go on our Facebook page, it's Brendan Bartik Coaching. You can get it there with a lot of other great resources. But you can get all of that information, and when you're on there, you have a form that you're filling out that's scripted to ask the right questions. So first of all, we've got a pre-qual, and one of the important pieces of that pre-qual is the DISC profile. So on the form it says DISC, and what we're looking for is trying to figure out the personality type of who we're talking to on the phone, whether this is a referral, an internet lead, whatever it is, however they came in, that you're making sure that you're understanding the personality style, because that's going to be a lot to do with how we go into the conversations with them, and of course get the listing and get the signatures. So you need your pre-qual. So there's a lot of questions there we're going to find out, and again, you can get that form and download it. After the pre-qualification, we're going to send out our pre-listing package. So if it's the same day appointment, you can have it couriered. It looks very professional. Locally, you can usually have something couriered for $20 to $25, maybe cheaper than that, depending on where your location is. If you can't courier it to them, then you can overnight mail it to them if you're meeting to them the next day or whatever it is. But we want to have a pre-listing package for 2 reasons. 1, it makes you look like a professional. And 2, it's going to save you a heck of a lot of time once you're at the appointment. So pre-listing package. And now I take you through what this looks like, all the details in our full 1.5-hour webinar on just how to list 100 plus homes. And again, we have a full webinar series of how to find, list, and sell, where you can get all of these details. You'll see the examples, you'll see all the images and all of that. Today, I'm just taking you through and making sure you understand the basics so you can get this going as quickly as possible. Okay. So pre-listing package goes out. Let's just say hypothetically your listing appointment is set for tomorrow at 4 p.m. So you've set the listing appointment, you've sent out the pre-listing package. It's fantastic. Now, if you're in a COVID-19 situation or they're a remote seller, you would do a pre-listing email that you would send to them ahead of time. We also go over all of this in the webinar. So if you're doing it virtually, which we have a class called List Like a Boss Virtual, where you can do all of this virtual and you can send this to them ahead of time in the virtual presentation, and then do a Zoom call with a bunch of other fancy things that we teach for you to do that. So pre-listing email or pre-listing package goes out. Great. So now the client has that. Next step is to prepare for the listing appointment. So we prepared what we call a PAC, a pre-appointment checklist. Now this checklist is going to take you through step by step of everything you're going to need to do to prepare for that listing appointment. And again, I'm not going to go through every step. We teach that in the full class, but you're going to want to have a checklist for yourself and making sure that you're ready to go on that appointment. So this is going to cover everything from making sure you have the CMA, the estimated net sheets, a pocket calculator, all the things you're going to need. So now that you've got that, you've got your CMA, your market stats, all of the amazing things that makes up your listing presentation package, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get ready to head out to the appointment. Now, make sure you always have printed directions. I'm telling you a pro tip here. You want to have printed directions, even though you've got GPS. Sometimes properties are new construction. Sometimes things don't work out on the GPS. The worst thing you want to do is be late to a listing appointment because you couldn't find the house. And I can only tell you, it's happened to me. That's why I'm giving you that warning. So always have printed things. Go into every one of these as if you're going into a $1 million job interview and the amount of preparation and time you would put into it, right? So be that focused. You're going to arrive in the neighborhood 30 minutes minimum, 30 minutes minimum prior to the appointment. And the reason for that is because you're going to want to scout the neighborhood. You're looking for landmarks, things of importance. You want to find everything in the neighborhood you can so you can have talking points with the sellers once you go into the home and meet them. You're also looking for coming soon signs, comps that you might have missed that for some reason didn't show up on your market analysis. So get there in the area a minimum 30 minutes early. If you're not so familiar with the area, go back even further to an hour to make sure you know what you're getting into. You want to be parked in front of the home no later than 15 minutes prior to the appointment. So 15 minutes prior to the appointment, you're going to want to make sure that, and again, don't park in the driveway. If you have a busted, broken down, not a great car, don't even park anywhere near where they can see you. They're going to be looking out the blinds trying to see, hey, who is this guy here? Is he professional? If you have a junky car, borrow a car. I can tell you I've done it. Make sure that you're dressed to the nines, right? So if you're a gentleman, you're either in business, professional, and I do mean professional. So that's suit coat, shirt, dress pants, tie. I wore a tie for years and years and years, and I got plenty of listings because people would say, you were the only one wearing a tie, right? So you're a walking billboard, reflect that. Ladies, make sure that, again, business suit, business professional, nothing risque. You don't want to go in there looking all, like you're going out to the club and the wife is looking at you going, oh yeah, we're not listing with her, nice try, right? So think about everything you do and make sure it makes sense for what you're doing. It's going to take you a lot further, right? All right, next. So now you're in there 15 minutes early. The reason for 15 minutes is we're going to start to visualize that we're going to watch them signing the listing agreement, that it's going to be a great appointment. We're there, we're early. You want to knock on the door 10 minutes prior to your appointment time. 10 minutes prior. I want them to know that I'm early because that's who I am. I show up early. I'm never a second late. In fact, I'm early. Number two is that I want to take control over that entire psychology of that appointment. So again, instead of them waiting for me to the last minute to show up, I want to catch them off guard and make sure that they're rushing to finally meet me. Boom, they're going to open the door, meet you. The first thing you're going to do is take off your shoes. So remember, you've got to have your sock game on point. Everything's got to be right. You've got to be looking perfect. So if you've got holes in your socks, your runners, don't wear, the socks that your grandma gave you that have pizzas on them. Have common sense. They're judging everything, right? Make sure you've got, if you have smelly feet, change your socks in the car before you go into the appointment. Have everything smelling fresh before you get in there. Then you're going to go in, sit down at the kitchen table, not at the kitchen table, the first thing that they're going to ask you is, hey, would you like to see the house? You go, no, I don't want to see the house just yet. Thank you so much. What I'd like to do is sit down for a moment and just go back and confirm your goals and go through everything to make sure that we're all set to go through the home. That catches them off guard. So now you're going to sit down. And I teach this all in detail. This is kind of a quick fire shot of it. You're going to sit down with them, review their goals. The first question you're going to ask them is, so John, Susan, when was the last time you sold a home? If they're a first-time seller, great. I specialize in first-time home sellers. If they've sold before, you're going to ask them how that experience went. That's very important because you want to find out all the ins and outs of what that experience was like, rather good or bad, right? Then you're going to get all this information and you're going to set the standard for what's going to happen next. So John and Susan, I'd like to go and view the home. I'd like to see the main floor, the upstairs, the basement, and then I'd like to do a full 360 of the exterior. Obviously, this all depends on what type of home type, but you want to have a plan for what you're doing, and always, unless it's a condo or a high-rise, walk the exterior of the property. I'll explain that more in detail in the full class. You go through, you see everything, you're going to be taking notes as you go through the property. Then you're going to sit down at the kitchen table when you come back because you want to, now we're going into business mode. The first part was I'm getting to know you mode. Now I'm going into business mode, right? And so I need a great presentation area so I can have something for them to sign my listing agreement on so I can go over all of the information. So you're going to sit down, take them through your presentation. And again, we teach a class, List Like a Boss, that takes you through step by step the presentation. So you're going to take them through the presentation. You're going to get signatures from them because of how your presentation is designed. And again, we teach that in another segment. Now, after you've got this signatures, you're going to ask them to give you a key for the lockbox. You're going to walk out of the home. Again, another reason for not parking your car in the driveway is because you're going to take a picture of the exterior of the property, several of them, so you can do your coming soon postings and your pre-marketing process and all of that fun stuff. You're going to jump in your car and you're going to drive off and you're going to air high five yourself because you did what you came there to do, which was build a great relationship with a client and a seller and make sure that they know your value. And now you're going to go and sell that home, or excuse me, list that home and then sell it. So that's the process from, kind of start to finish on how to list the property. Now, a lot more goes into that, believe me, I know, but that's the kind of, fast track version of how to do it. Now you go back with your listing agreement, and now we're going to talk about in the third part of this series, how to get them sold. So I hope that you found this helpful. I know if you see the entire full session, it'll make a lot of sense. So please register for the webinar. Contact me directly if you're having trouble finding it or you need more information on how to get registered for that free webinar. And then in addition, hit the subscribe button. We have tons of content that we have coming out, and this is real content for me selling thousands of homes myself using this system day in, day out. This isn't theory. This is me out there in the streets. I've sold over $950 million in residential sales. I've listed over 2,000 plus homes. So I know it works. Right? I know this system works. I know it inside and out, and I know it can work for you and change your life. So again, I'm excited for you. And as always, I wish you great success.